thinking ability does not mean generating thoughts. BD number 6963. November 8, 1957, it is impossible for you to generate your own thoughts, but you are able to pick up and make use of thoughts flowing to you. For the thought is a spiritual emanation of strength, which you will understand if you consider that you are certainly capable of thinking about what is presented to you in some form or other, but that you will not think about something that is entirely unknown to you until you have been touched by a ray of thought which, however, cannot originate in yourselves. On the other hand, however, it is possible for everyone to mull over and resolve problems if he accepts the influx of thoughts from the spiritual kingdom, but this will never be proof that he generates these thoughts himself. When I brought you to life, when I externalized you from myself as independent living creations, I nevertheless established a connection between me and you, which consisted of the fact that I spoke to you and you were able to reply. And you were able to feel as well as hear these words. The feeling was the thought which you audibly perceived as word. But then, due to your thinking ability, you were able to form an opinion about this thought or word and reply to it according to your will, or continue on your own to think about the thought you had received. You are able to form or shape it as you want, thus more or less develop it further in either direction, judging the thought sent to you either correctly or incorrectly. This is the thinking ability I granted to you as created beings in order to communicate with you, again, according to your will. Something must exist first, only then will you be able to deal with it. And I myself am the primary cause of everything in existence. Everything originates from me, regardless of whether it is the life of the creature or the blissfulness of the most elevated spirits. And thus, the word, too, originates from me, which first appears as thought in the human being but has to be voluntarily seized by the person. And then he will be able to deal with it and use it according to his will. Thus, intellectual thinking cannot generate a thought, but it can choose and receive the thought current surrounding it. The intellect can deflect or pick up inflowing thought waves, which can be easily understood if you compare it to the transmission and reception activity developed by you humans in radio technology. The transmissions come forth from a higher will or being and can be received by every person but do not forcibly impose themselves if a person opposes them, and because this is determined by the person's will, the will is influenced from a good as well as an evil side. You should know that you are always surrounded by all kinds of thought waves, by those coming from me, which are conveyed to you by the world of light that works according to my will, but also by those which certainly originally emerged from me, yet which, through deliberately using strength in order to oppose me and their thinking ability, were shaped adversely and are now also sent to you by this power, once again demanding your will, which can accept but also reject them. And so you are also able, by virtue of your free will, to use the thought currents from the world of light wrongly, that is, your thinking ability can take a negative attitude towards these thoughts if you hand yourselves over to the adversary by isolating yourselves from me. The beings of light will never abandon you, they will always try to influence you, but they cannot prevent you from taking my adversary's side. However, were you unable to give the thoughts sent to you from the world of light another direction, you would not possess free will either, you would more or less be compelled to think correctly and no error would exist in the world. Thus, you must use your thinking ability, you must form some kind of opinion of what first affects you as a thought. And that gives you the impression that you create the thoughts yourselves. In that case, however, your thinking would be very restricted, it would constantly revolve around the same thing, around that which can be seen by your eyes and touched by your hands, because you are also physically limited. But that which is limitless in you, your soul, is indeed in contact with me and constantly receives the evidence of belonging to me. It can also make unrestricted use of my influx according to its will. This is why the human being by virtue of his thinking ability is also able to do what he likes with the thoughts sent to him, thus he can think correctly or wrongly. And the guarantee for correct thinking is offered to him by me myself, he need only make conscious contact with me. If he fails to do so he is subject to my adversary's influence, and then darkness prevails over light, and everything the human being does in this dependence on him will be wrong and opposed to my divine order. Amen.